Commission, please come to order. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. Would you please stand to the pledge of the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commission members should have received, well, let the records reflect the members that are here this evening. Tillman, Myers, Brown, myself, Tiffany, Jim. Okay. Commission members should have received the draft minutes of August 28th, 2023. Is there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
No, I did not see any.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the meeting's minutes from September 25th as written.
Second.
September what?
25th.
August 28th.
August 28th. I'm sorry.
August 28th.
August 20th, my mistake.
Okay.
I was reading off this.
Okay, what,
Yep, second.
Myers seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carry. Thank you. Delegation and action items. Discovery 180.
So Chairman, coming off of our meeting 2 months ago, the 60 days was enough to get our letter from CDM Smith approving the stormwater management for the project. That sort of wraps up the majority of the big stuff. We're still waiting on two approval letters, one from Development Review and then Engineering. I spoke with CLSI today. There will be a period of time until the rights-of-way deeds, easements, they were very nice and they just simply were asked and they gave up that land to reconfigure that intersection to correct something that's been a problem for a long time. That had to be addressed prior to Soul Farm being annexed, perhaps. Those gentlemen made it happen. So in any case, to say this, unfortunately, that's going to tie them up a little bit while State Highway in Carroll County gets those parcels deeded correctly for the future. So other than those two letters, I'm asking that you entertain what you did before, contingency for those last couple letters to come in, to get them into the preliminary stage and let them keep rolling on. I don't have a clue how long it's going to take them for state and county roads to get that recorded.
So the only thing, what they're waiting on is this for the grading only, right?
Grading only, yes.
So I'm thinking, what advantage do we have by extending our motion from 60 days ago? What advantage does that have to 180 recovery?
Okay, so
If we just extend it, can they move forward, or we still at a standstill until we get those letters? What's our options?
they would just be where they're at now until they get those two letters. I mean, if anything, if you think about it, it keeps them from having to come back next month so 2 months ago, we granted them preliminary site plan approval contingent upon the needed letters from review agencies. So I guess we're trying, because they've been here so many times for a parking lot, stormwater management, just trying to help them along, that's all.
Jim, you have any comments?
Pretty much just the idea that extending it gives them the assurance that they haven't lost the approval, the preliminary plan approval, while we work out with Carroll County Roads Engineering and State Highway. My understanding is that they're actually asking for plat drawings of those areas to be deeded over for the future right-of-way. That's usually something that we're accustomed to happening at the final plan review stage, not at the preliminary plan stage. So I guess extending it just keeps them from having to come back asking for preliminary plan approval again, since you did put a timeline on it a couple months ago.
So if we extend it, they're still at a standstill, meaning
Right.
they can't move forward without those two letters
Right.
on any of their project right there, right?
Well, no, only on the grading part of it,
Only on the grading part.
outside.
Okay. Would the representative like to make any comments before we go any further? Please come to the podium.
So also, Mr. Chairman, if I can add, what it does do is say 20 days from now, the other two letters are in. You know, we're just that much, they're not having to wait to the end of the following month.
I understand, yes. Okay. Sir?
John Kotz here for Recovery 180. How y'all doing tonight? I don't really have anything else to say except for, Daryl and Jim have been very, very communicative as far as this whole process. And we're just trying to go ahead and get started on what we need to for the parking lot and some other small projects so that we can, open our doors and start serving the community.
Okay. Thank you.
But the extension doesn't allow them to do anything yet, right?
Right.
It's just, okay.
It saves them from coming back. That's what he says.
Right, from coming back to
The
get,
thing is, in the past, we haven't extended any others other than just the 60 days, right? We haven't, no other developer,
I
we've
don't
extended
know
it
that
twice, correct?
I don't know that we've typically put a timeline on it. Usually we've just granted it condition on getting the last letter or two letters or whatever it is. And typically it doesn't take that long for the last letters to come in. In this case, since we're dealing with areas of dedication for roadways, it's proving to take a little longer than we expected. So I certainly don't think it would be out of order to extend it for say, an additional 90 days to give a longer window for state highway and county roads to work everything out. It might happen in 20 days, but that'll save us from coming back doing this again.
from starting the clock over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to have, they've gone out of their way to allow to deed this over. So I don't, they're certainly being accommodating in this.
So was there a reason we put a time limit on it, or?
Yes, to give them time. We expected the letters to be in by now. And we just didn't want to give them the approval without having the letters.
I agree with that.
So this way, we're in the same shoes, except now we're talking about maybe 90 days, and I really don't have an issue with that, but I would like to, but definitely on the question, does the county have any comments at this time? Okay.
Generally, at each stage of the process, there's a window where the approval will expire automatically. So once you get concept plan approval, the developer has to submit the preliminary plan within a year, or that concept approval expires. And same thing with preliminary to final. I believe it's a year in the code for that as well. So there's kind of an automatic expiration. If too much time lapses, then they would have to come back before you within that year if it looked like there was something, that just wasn't going to happen. And I wouldn't expect that on a smaller project. This would be, maybe a big subdivision or something. But so in a way, the code sort of gives you that automatic expiration anyhow.
So Chairman, one more item, please. So the conditional approval from 60 days ago was for preliminary site plan approval. So that's what we're talking about.
Yes,
And, okay, thank you.
yes.
Just
So before I ask for a motion, if I do get the motion, I'd like to be stated in the motion that is reference to State Highway, so that down the road, we have a reason and we know why we extended it the second time.
And county roads also.
And county road, county and, right,
County review letters, yes.
okay. So,
I move that we extended 90 days on the provision that we received the county and state highways deeding for the property for the Recovery 180.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Tillman. You good on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We didn't vote on it yet, but you're welcome.
It's time to hear the motion.
You're welcome. Any comments from the floor? All right. Motion's on the floor and been seconded. All those in favor of that motion of approval for 90 days with those conditions signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Now,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
Is there any one particular person or group that we can contact to see what the holdup is, if there's a holdup, or is it just the issue with the state highway?
I called CLSI. Well, they're not blaming anybody specifically, but we know that we got to get the easements and deed recordation, I guess it is, for those. On the drawing that we had 2 months ago, there's a clouds-like area, a corner at the corner of Harney and 140. That's county. The area along running parallel with 194 with 140 is state. So, yeah, I'm hoping they turn it around. I mean, CLSI is gonna draw this up,
Okay.
and they, like most of the engineers we work with, they know what they're doing.
Well, it just seems unusual for a project like this to take so long. So
I agree.
I want to do what we can do on our end.
So just some FYI, I spoke with Mike Rothstein with 180 as well today, and they were under the assumption that we were controlling the permits for inside the building, some handicap things. And like Councilman Tillman is showing, we have nothing to do with that permit at all. There's nothing structural, the ADA bathroom or rooms. And if they were changing a window to a door or vice versa, then it'd be structural, trusses, that type of thing. Truss replacement, re-engineering, design, whatever. But we don't have any of that. So hopefully their conversation proved fruitful this afternoon with the commercial office of the review.
All right, well, thanks for staying on top of it. So,
Yes, sir.
all right, moving forward. Your report?
Okay, so starting off right away, Brad's proved me wrong. He is here. He's right there.
That's right.
City Manager Wybrecht and I met with the Tannery Barn people. They have some new ideas for their project area down by the Tannery Barn, and they'll be getting back to us with some ideas. They want to do some parking and some other event type stuff. So more to follow on that.
Before you drift off of that, are they squared away with the water management, stormwater?
That's being worked on right now. CDM Smith has started reviewing what was sent in from their landscaping, presentation for stormwater management. There is no water problem from the, originally there was a water runoff problem, but, yeah, and that's not been an issue for a while. So we're just waiting for those to be worked out. But yeah, it's, I can't wait. I think I'm gonna have you come in and hit backspace and take that off there when, off the agenda.
Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead.
So, city manager and I had I'd rather not say the site at this time, because it's very early in the process, but a commercial site, we're looking to do something permanent on that site. It's now not being used. I don't know if I should even brought that up. But, so, there's some activity in the commercial part of of the world here in town.
All right, keep us informed as you can.
Yes, sir. So I had a nice field trip with Chairman Parker out at the, in your packet is the BZA case that's going to be held tomorrow in the Reagan Room down at the Carroll County office space. And basically, it's in that, let me get mine together. It's all stapled together. Page 2 is, that's our comp map. So that's the map that shows on there. On the left-hand side in the pink, you'll see a site, that's a site area just past those first few houses on the left-hand side. It's a multiple acre storage facility. It sounded like from the engineer at Evapco, that it's simply going to be that. It was explained to me, they looked around everywhere, couldn't find the amount of space they need. I don't know, there's a couple different variances that they're looking for, so I'm not sure the size, but I think it's 3 to 5 acres. And that hearing will be held tomorrow. Jim and I met out there with some of the homeowners there and had a really rational discussion. I mean, they sort of think that, it's going to happen, so they've accepted that, but they can control things like lighting or not, or at least have explained to them the hours of operation, jake braking, all kinds of things. There were concerns about the roads, Kraus Mill Road and coming out on 194 there. And that's legitimate, I had the same concern about the access across the street. We shall see that the city is in support of this, as it's a project outside of our jurisdiction, but because it's within 1 mile, the town-county agreement sort of does make, communicating back and forth for projects like that, so it'll be tomorrow.
How long are they going to be using that lot?
Councilman, I don't know. I would imagine once they spend the money, it's going to be that lot for now, and it could be something else later. I don't know.
Because I'm a little concerned. I know that you commented that it was not based on the maps that you've attached here. It wasn't in the path of the proposed bypass, but that path has changed with the advent of what's going on in Mountain Brook Farms, and so in the end, it may be. And I don't know if that's been considered obviously, we don't want to stand in the way of Evapco's progress, and it's something that they really need to do, but I think we just need to be thinking about that. And I don't know, it's hard to tell this time where that would come across there. But it's possible that it may impact it, it's possible it may not. But I don't think the alignment that's shown on this comprehensive plan map from 2010, I don't think is any longer valid.
Kind of agree with you. Want to make sure we don't jeopardize that.
Yeah, I want to make sure we don't jeopardize what Mountain Brook is trying to do.
Right.
And I had a brief discussion with the mayor about this, because we ought to be looking and talking to the state and the county about relocating how Kraus Mill Road intersects with 194 so that it lines up with Mountain Brook, and then that intersection later on maybe become part of the bypass.
Right.
And so we need to be thinking along the lines of where does that curve around to when it comes out. So I just want to, want to make sure we are thinking that far down the line.
Thanks.
So any other questions on that?
I think we're good for now.
Tiffany, you want to add anything?
Is this
Will you be
pavement-
there tomorrow at the Board of Appeals in county? Okay.
Is this going to be paved or just stone, just a stone-based lot?
Um, I don't know.
I mean, they're just storing air conditioning units on it, from what I understand, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess they're taking into consideration storm management, so I would doubt if it's gonna be paved, right? But there again, that brings the issue, what was brought up about snow removal and all that stuff in the wintertime if they don't pave it.
Yeah, I mean, that of course is their issue because it's a private lot, but
Yeah.
I just wasn't really clear from this.
It doesn't say, but there will be stormwater management. They're showing buffering.
It appears to show several small, like bioretention facilities around the perimeter of the lot. I assume that's what those are, little ovals are for. A little small in the writing, and hard for me to look at.
Really small, yeah.
Hope they're clear tomorrow.
I'm not sure I can hold it far enough away from me to
Okay.
see it.
All right, Jim, you had a question or comment?
Don't think the depicted plan specifies this, but I am aware that Evapco was looking for paved surface for product storage around the city.
Okay.
And we were not able to locate any such surfaces that were not in use.
Yeah.
So I
Well, and
would
that's
expect this
consistent
would,
with,
the
you
intent
know,
would be that it
they're gonna
would
put
be
stormwater
paved.
management in, it's because they're gonna be paving it, so.
Right. And, you know, as was indicated before, you know, the city does, we do want to support this. And Mr. Tillman brought up a good point regarding Mountain Brook Farms and the proposed connection to 194 from that project would be proximate to where the realigned Cross Mill Road would intersect with 194. So this lot really doesn't compromise the ability to use that alignment
Right.
in the future. So, you know, we felt comfortable indicating support for
you
it
know,
because the hearings before council's going to meet again to formally discuss anything, so.
Okay. Barry, you want to continue on with your report?
Chairman, I'd like to, but that's all I have unless y'all have any questions for me.
Okay, anything? Okay. Anything new on the active site plans and the construction phases?
If APCO does plan to be back in here in October, they had a meeting. There's a meeting scheduled as of last Wednesday for more. They were going to present this month. They just want to keep moving the project along with information. But they decided to hold off until they had their meeting this week for some of the facade things that they were working out at their level. So look forward to that being in here in October.
Okay. And Duffy's, do they have a UNO yet?
Yeah, I did the city issuance approval on that. That's all taken care of. So I haven't forgotten about the tour. I want to see what this machine that needs a 68,000 square foot building and is going to eliminate 2 jobs, but they're going to keep them. They resourced the 2 individuals to keep them there. Good company. So once I come up with something, it'd most likely be during the day. And, you know, I'm going to try for, I don't know, I'll just throw something out, see what sticks, respond to it quickly because they're moving, see if I can't get something scheduled.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I guess we can move into,
I got a question real quick. So the comment beside Garnet Ridge that it has, it's been 1 year since the last presentation. What's that mean to us?
Okay, so I just sort of caught that. I mean, I think the first time I saw that was 2 years ago for, I think it was Storage Today. But in any case, just, you know, in talking with my boss, I don't think that there's a problem with it being a year old. at this point?
If I recall correctly, they have presented their preliminary plan. So as long as they present it within the year, they're good.
Has it been approved?
No. No, they're still in the preliminary plan stage, I believe.
So the concept plan is approved, but not a preliminary.
I'm sorry,
Right.
for Garnet?
Yeah.
Garnet Ridge.
So Garnet was granted the concept site approval on July 25th, 2022.
That's for concept.
Concept.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and the town's got to keep in mind, though, if their main street through there is going to be a private street, or if that's going to be part of a public street, it's going to tie into the Soul property. So when they get wherever they are in that plan, they got to make sure that that stays available.
Yes.
The current plan is for it to not tie in, and that's what is on the preliminary plan that was
Okay.
submitted. I don't have the date in front of me, but
Okay.
So there's no expiration date on the concept plan that was presented?
No.
there would be if they had not, I mean, there's that year, but they had submitted their preliminary plan within the year.
Okay.
Okay.
So-
Okay, I'm tracking now.
So it,
I
right.
think that was March, because I've been just wondering what's going on, so.
Yeah, right.
And then there will be a meeting this week, some more discussion with Mountain Brook and Garnet Ridge, believe it or not. So that's coming later this week.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
Not right now.
All right. Does Jay have a report for us?
Not to be shared with me. I think yeah, there's no report.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Okay, we're up to the county.
Good evening. I'll start with the big news, which is, I'll add to your notes later. The Department of Planning merged with the Department of Land and Resource Management a couple weeks ago. So our new director is Chris Hine, and we are now the Bureau of Comprehensive Planning under the Department of Planning and Land Management. Yeah, I'll get notes to you later. And our former planning manager, Mary Lane, is now our bureau chief. So there's been a lot of shifting around. And there will be a deputy director of planning and zoning that is now open. It's a job that's open now. It's been,
Could you provide us with a flow chart?
I will try my best.
Because
Writing myself one back there.
Because I forgot who's who.
I know.
in this county. So a flow chart would
We're
help
trying
us.
to get used to it now.
Okay.
It's only been a couple weeks. But then, as Darrell had already mentioned, the BZA case tomorrow downtown, that is at 9 o'clock in the county office building, but it is streamed live, and you can also watch it on YouTube. Going through our main website, you just click on the YouTube icon at the top, and you can find it there. On the 12th of October, we will be presenting a recommendation for award for the Carroll County Housing Study RFP that was posted in the spring, I do believe, before the county commissioners. On the 17th, the Planning Commission will be reviewing the final draft of the 2023 Transportation Master Plan, and that'll just be up for discussion during that meeting. And then the Economic Development and Land Use Study continues to be reviewed and edited by the consultants, and no word from the Maryland Department of the Environment on the triennial update to the Water Sewer Master Plan.
Anyone have any questions or comments?
No? All right,
Thank you very much.
thank you. My pleasure.
Evidently, there's no old business or new business. So does anyone from the floor have any comments they would like to present to the commission? Does any commissioner would like to talk about anything? We've got a little free time now, so if there's something you've been thinking about or want to get out in the open, maybe we can talk a little bit about it. And
The only thing I would like to bring up is that, we never did get back to the comprehensive plan update. And we really do need to do that.
we got 10 years to do that.
I think we're past that.
I think,
already.
yeah, I think our 10 years
10 years
expired a couple of years ago, I believe. But yeah, we do need to get back to that, so.
If we have more evenings like this, then we can get it back on the
Yeah,
agenda.
we have
again.
been fairly overwhelmed with the number of things that have come in the last 6 months. And so I understand, obviously, reasons we haven't gotten to it, but we do need to get back to it.
Agreed. Okay. Mr. Myers?
No, I think the only thing that keeps me up at night is when we talked about the road that's going through Mountain Brook. I really, I don't know, I can't see me being in favor of it unless that road goes all the way through right at the beginning.
So if I may on that, so I spent a good bit of time since our last meeting looking over the FlowServe project property. And there have been agreements, there were two presentations as to how going across FlowServe, that property, that road would end up on 140. There's been some type of agreements before, but they've, I guess, expired, Jim. So I don't, in any case, it is on someone's agenda city staff's agenda to meet up with them to get that flowing again. Because it's been done before, whoever's in charge today, if that is a different person, can say, look, it's been, here it is. And there's documents in my office to show that. So,
Was that an agreement between FlowServe and the developer, or is that,
FlowServe in Taneytown.
and FlowServe and the city?
Yeah, it's talking about FlowServe's portion of that.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, so that made me feel good, to see that.
Okay, well, when they come back in, or I'm talking about Mountain Brook for preliminary, it'd be nice to have State Highway, a representative of State Highway present something at that time too, so that we understand not just from one area, but from two areas, State Highway and Mountain Brook, and 140 and 194, that we're still on the same page with
And we actually
everyone.
need to include Garnet Ridge in that also. I think you and I have had that discussion before about where Garnet Ridge's entrance comes out, because they can't be offset by a very short distance. The state highway will never allow it, so.
So the cool thing is, because of that group that is developing both of those properties, Garnet and Mountain, they're pretty big and have done this before. And it's ironic on the phone call this afternoon that one of the principals of both of those projects was able to tell me that he wanted to discuss both of those, and they did have some traffic-related information for us. So we'll know that.
I just feel comfortable with having
Sure.
somebody from State Highway here.
Well, okay, so let's see what they say in 2 days, and yeah.
So since we got time here, so the other two things that bothered me with what I saw in their plan is, again, street width there. So the street width and the parking, I guess they're meeting the requirements of what the town is, but it seems like those requirements are way smaller than what I think is really appropriate. So I didn't go out and measure the street in front of my house, but I think that's the smallest that we should allow, and it's got parking on both sides. Two cars can pass, you can go on each way, and you're not worried about hitting anybody. I drove through Meads Crossing out here, and I would hate it if I lived out there. I just think it's totally unacceptable, and I don't think we should do that again. So I think that what we have out at Carroll Vista and what we have at Meads Crossing is just not acceptable as far as the road width. So I don't.
We'll get some measurements.
And then,
When the time comes, we can talk about them and see what they present to us.
and then the final thing is, I noticed in their plan, they had the front-loaded townhomes. So again, with my drive through Meads Crossing, I mean, everything's nice and new and everything, but I really don't like the parking, the front-loaded townhomes. but I'm trying to, I struggle with myself now because now I look at, right next door to it is a house where you're allowed to park in front of the house, but your townhouse.
Yeah,
you can't.
exactly. That's,
So-
that is where it
So,
gets to be a,
So when I look at it, personally, I just don't like it, but one is okay. So I'm kind of struggling with what, if you held me up against the wall, which way I'd vote on that there, but just some comments that I've noticed.
Good. Well, back to the street. Does the town has an ordinance on trash pickup? Should the trash containers be on the sidewalk or out in the street?
So they should be on the sidewalk, okay? So the rules for trash. It's always gonna be windy on trash day, all right? Always windy on trash day. The trash supposed to be in a bag, in a can with a lid. Any rental property, the trash can should be provided for as any recycling bin from the landlord, okay? So I can tell half the time when someone gets a new tenant because the trash cans are in the street. All right, so they should not be, so I carry handy little letters if I'm out doing zone code enforcement. I just put them on the porch, and normally that takes care of it until the next tenant comes. And evidently, our recycling containers, if painted black, are a very popular item to go bye-byes. But in any case, so yeah, trash should be only on the sidewalk.
Okay, so I was approached by a school bus company that's saying that travels out there at Beach Crossing, and they were saying that they're located out in the street. So maybe the homeowners association should be contacted about that since that's a homeowners association. So is that something in your category?
I'll add it to the list. I'll contact them and ask them to put out a reminder. They have an email that they can rather quickly distribute information.
Okay, somebody from the floor had to come to the, please. State your name.
Harry Mead. Depending on what time of day it was, trash company leaves them in the middle of the road.
yeah.
So that's it. Trash company does not put them back.
That
They-
could be
they-
the same person,
they-
and maybe
they-
they can be notified too then.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just know this, if any complaint hits the Department of Public Works, any complaint, I don't care, Kevin's already called them while I'm still on the phone. They take that very serious, and it's been Kevin has found it's been very, that's a hard job, just think it through. I wouldn't want to do it, I couldn't do it. It's a 8-hour or 8 or 10-hour run. So they could do it, better if they were to slow down, but, to keep costs down, they're zooming. So, but any complaint that comes in, Kevin Smeek or someone in the city calls the trash company, and they're very receptive to address it. Turnover, with some employees. As long as you're retraining the next new employee. So it's in the world, unfortunately.
But yeah, it depends on if they're nice and neat sitting in the street or if they're just kind of like thrown off to the side. That's usually the company, because mine are usually in the street somewhere.
Thank you for your
You,
input.
Harry.
Okay.
Yeah, just,
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
So back on the street width again, when I was riding around, when I drove up, I think it's Pickett Street. So if you go up there, on the right-hand side, all the houses are facing the street, so the front of the house is facing the street. On the left-hand side, it's all the side of a house or
Yeah.
an open lot or whatever. So there's parking on one side and none on the other. And that really actually seemed okay too. So when you're driving down there, it seems like you got enough space because the way it was laid out. So, just something that if you're driving around, maybe you want to take notice.
Okay, thanks. Brad?
I think it's all been covered. I'm good.
All right.
I think we got one more down.
Well, I just wanted to, I pick up on something I think you guys said a few minutes ago about the street in Garnet Ridge. At this point, that's not going to connect into Sewell's Farm? Or is? Or is it still in the air?
I would hope it's still in the air.
What's it,
My recollection from the preliminary plan was that it is not going to connect.
right, it was a dead end.
because the intent for Garnet Ridge was that it be private infrastructure. So you don't want to have people using a private street to access a public street. And unfortunately, we encountered that with Chevrolet Drive and Brake Iron Street that were originally designed for those who have been around a while as private roads, and they were not built to city specifications because they were supposed to be private.
Right.
And then when the Creekside community couldn't get access onto Route 140 from State Highway, the only other viable access route then was through Brake Iron Street. And so we certainly learned from that experience. So we definitely don't want to set up a situation where we have a private road feeding a public street, or
So,
we'll end up accepting that in the end.
but it seems to me that if because I know that may be the intent from the Garnet Ridge side, that it dead ends. It seemed to my recollection from the one plan that we saw from Sewell's Farm was that they wanted to tie into that street.
Right. There was, yes, a plan like that.
So, and that's, you know, to kind of reach out way down the line to the potential of the Worthington Boulevard. If there were ever any potential for that, then Garnet Ridge would have to connect to Sewell's Farm in that way. And perhaps even if we don't take ownership of the street right now, perhaps we still should be requiring that to meet city specifications. In case that does happen as an eventuality, because Sewell's Farm may be in a position, much like Mountain Brook, about trying to have multiple access points. And that may be their other access point. One other thing that came to mind at some point, we were talking about phasing with Mountain Brook, was whether or not there could be an emergency access from, a temporary emergency access from the park to Phase 1 of Mountain Brook. And I don't know if that's something that we could or would want to do, but that's an idea just thrown out there.
They said they'd come back to us with some thought on that. I guess our concerns, and in the past, we allowed up to 50 homes
With a single.
with one means of egress. So we want to keep that in mind when they come back in with their phasing, how that's going to work out. And even if they come up with half of the 454, still using the park as emergency, I mean, that's, unless you have some means of regulating the traffic.
Yes,
I mean, that's not going to happen. That's creating an issue for the police and the city.
yeah.
So, but there are the things we need to keep on the back burner, but still lit, so we
Yeah.
make sure it happens every time. So, all right. Not seeing anybody having any other comments. I guess it looks like October 30th for the next meeting. One. And not hearing anything else, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion adjourned.
Motion by Brown, second by Myers. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Thank you, and thanks for the people that showed up and made comments. Even if you didn't make comments, thanks for showing up.
Brown and Myers.
Yeah.